Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers notice troubling Justin Fields issue during minicamp. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the teams to keep an eye on in the AFC North this season, as their two-headed monster at quarterback of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson acclimates itself to the Steeler way. Fields, however, struggled in a key area during minicamp that has some team insiders feeling worried as the spring and summer seasons get going. The latest reports show that the former Ohio State football star could have ways to go in terms of his development for coach Mike Tomlin's team. Steelers insider Ray Fittipaldo shared the info in an article posted by SteelerNation.com recently. The knocks against Justin Fields coming in, a lot of it was accuracy, he said. Can he put the ball where it needs to be on a consistent basis? Just from observing and talking to the people in the building, that was a little bit of an issue. The Steelers insider issued a qualifying statement about the Fields situation that is important to note. Fields and new QB Russell Wilson are both in unfamiliar situations. Both Justin Fields and Wilson are considered to be veterans at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of where they are in their careers, but they both walked into a situation where expectations are high for coach Mike Tomlin's Steelers. Pressure is certainly a factor, along with the newness of it all from system to location to teammates. I wouldn't make it a big deal in May and June, guys, Fittipaldo said. I think you have to remember, number one, he's coming in and he's with a new team. He's with a new OC, a new QB coach. They're probably trying to tinker with his game a little bit before they throw him out there in July. Last season, Fields completed 61.4% of his passes for a Chicago Bears team that was outmatched at virtually every skill position on the field. Fields still will have the ultimate say over whether he succeeds or not, and all eyes will be on him with even more intensity by the time the preseason rolls around. Making sacrifices was normal. Wilson. Making sacrifices. It's something you often have to do in order to get where you want to be in life, yet so many don't really want to go that extra mile to get to where they want to be. Roman Wilson is not one of those people. Not even by a long shot. The Steelers' third-round draft pick went the extra mile and then some when he was in high school to help make his dream a reality. Wilson grew up in Hawaii, where most of the state is not a hotbed for high school football, with one exception. St. Louis School. It's a school that produced current and former Steelers, including Chris Wamata-Maafala, Tyson Alualu, and Nate and Nick Herbig, as well as other NFL players like Marcus Mariota and Tua Tagovailoa. For Wilson, it was the ideal school to attend. There was one problem though. Wilson lived on the island of Maui, while the school was on the island of Oahu. But he had a dream, and he was willing to go the extra mile to attend the school that could potentially change his life, and he wasn't about to let anything stand in his way. When football practice began at St. Louis School leading into his freshman year, the journey to the NFL truly began. And oftentimes, the road was filled with turbulence. Wilson would wake up at 4 a.m. every morning to catch a flight from Maui to Oahu at 6 a.m. to attend practice, summer classes, and then fly home for the night. With money tight in the home, his mother, Colleen Colgrove, took multiple jobs while his father, Jeffrey Wilson, got a job with Hawaiian Airlines so his son could fly free on standby. I had an opportunity and I felt like that was my only opportunity, said Wilson. If I wanted to pursue this career, I felt like that was my best chance. It was kind of a long shot, but at the time I felt like I was my only shot, so I had to. I used to get up at 4 in the morning, get on the plane for standby, fly over to the island, get on the public bus to go to school. I did that for close to a month. I was burned out. I was flying a lot. There was a lot going on. But it worked out. It worked out thanks to one of his high school teammates. Pokela Lewis heard what Wilson was doing to be able to attend the school, himself taking a bus for 2 hours to get there. He couldn't even fathom what Wilson had to do. He talked to his parents to see if they could help. It was just a random day of practice near the beginning of the season, and I overheard some of our teammates saying this guy's flying back and forth every single day, said Lewis, who made the trip with Wilson to Pittsburgh the day after he was drafted. That stuck with me. I went to my mom and told her, and she told me to tell my dad. My dad talked to his dad, and within a few weeks he was staying with us. We became like brothers. We clicked instantly. Our relationship grew a lot going to school. I think traveling to school, those long bus rides, because we would have to catch 3 buses to get to school and it took 2 hours. We just became close. While the friendship blossomed, the struggle and exhaustion still existed as the 2-hour daily bus ride was still something difficult to deal with. I stayed with him at first, said Wilson. His family reached out to me after practice. I stayed with them for a little bit. I stayed with some other people. And then my dad got a house on Oahu. It was Section 8, nothing fancy. I started living there. It was a broken-down apartment. But it was cool. Cowboys rumors, disaster QB tabbed as best bet to replace Dak Prescott. Perhaps it is because the NFL offseason has slowed as we twiddle our way through June and July in anticipation of the opening of training camp. Perhaps it is because Trevor Lawrence has agreed to a new contract with the Jaguars. But it does seem that, lately, chatter around the Cowboys' situation with Dak Prescott has been picking up lately. And not in a way that would make you think the team is careening its way toward a deal with Prescott. No, the latest round of media musings on the Dak debacle is more focused on swallowing what many deemed an impossible notion just a few months ago, Dak Prescott hitting free agency and leaving the Cowboys. We can speculate where he might wind up once that happens. But in the meantime, the parlor game these days is what, exactly, might happen with the Cowboys' quarterback spot if they do, in fact, let Prescott go? There is Trey Lance. There is the draft. But it's almost certain, too, that the Cowboys would look to add an established veteran if, indeed, Prescott were set free. And one sentence of such speculation at the Cowboys site Blogging the Boys should serve to remind us how unappetizing Dallas options will be if Prescott leaves. Russell Wilson is probably the best bet QB Dallas could target to replace Prescott, but nothing he's accomplished in the past few years would suggest his play is on par with number 4. Most anyone in and around the NFL is well versed in the Russell Wilson situation. He finagled his way out of Seattle, with the Broncos sending a king's ransom to the Seahawks for the right to employ Wilson and pay him $242 million. Within 2 years, and through 2 coaches, the Broncos were fed up with the Wilson experience and cut him, despite having to eat a record $85 million worth of dead money. The Ringer summed up Wilson's Denver tenure in a headline: "The Broncos' Russell Wilson era was a disaster." What comes next for both team and QB? But, if Lance and a draftee do not work out in 2025, Wilson could well be the best option for Dallas. As BTB wrote, going with a veteran to replace Prescott is probably the most unlikely and least desired option for the Cowboys. Going this route would mean the Trey Lance trade/experiment failed, and for whatever reason they didn't come away with their future QB1 in the 2025 NFL Draft either. This would be a tough pill to swallow for a variety of reasons, but there could be a stopgap player available via free agency to keep them competitive. Again, all this is contingent upon Prescott and the Cowboys not agreeing on a new contract, and there has been no sign that progress has been made. But that can change quickly. And, while the first blush of Wilson as a Cowboy sounds deflating, remember that Wilson actually was not terrible in 2023. He threw for 3,070 yards in 15 games, with a 66.4% completion rate and 26 touchdowns against 8 interceptions, all with a SOSO offense around him and a coach who did little to hide his disdain for Wilson. Wilson had a PFF grade of 77.5, which is not great but ranked 15th among QBs with at least 12 starts. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Russell Wilson? Leave your opinion in the comments.